Hey, it's time once again for us to talk for a little while about some stuff and recent stuff. There's new developments, but what's the best part, Ben? What is the best thing? I'll give you a hint. I'm wearing it on my shirt.
I don't know.
12 in a row. 12 victories in a row for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's right. Don't say Milwaukee. That's dumb. Say Milwaukee Bucks.
What?
12 in a row leading up to the All-Star break. The Bucks just won their last 12.
Is that how people say Milwaukee? They say
Yeah,
Milwaukee.
If you actually know Milwaukee, you say Milwaukee. You don't say Milwaukee. That's dumb.
I've always said Milwaukee since my whole life.
Oh, then you're dumb. Congratulations. Look at you. Anyway, hey, guess what else happened last night? Now, it kind of sucked a little bit because Giannis injured his wrist, sprained wrist. They said no, x-rays are clean and all that good stuff. But then it meant Brolo had to take over, and he had 33 points last night, Brolo.
And you're the only one who cares.
He was splashing them. He was taking guys off the dribble. He was dunking. He was working the inside. Mr. Brook, freaking Lopez, better than James Harden at basketball, like I said 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah. That's not hard to do. Everybody's
And whenever Giannis is out and then he's got to take charge, he just scores 33 points and they win the game.
So why don't they just do that every time?
Because Giannis has got to...
It's the same thing with the Packers. You know, whenever Aaron Jones is the focal point of the offense, they win. So even though you have a superstar, Aaron Rodgers, when you use Aaron Jones, who's a very good player, you win. So maybe the Bucks should just use Lopez all the time, and they would win every single game.
Now, if he had like high pressure on him, like he had guys up by the three, and he took him off the dribble, and it looked slow, but it worked out. It worked out. He did like some funny runners and like all kinds of stuff last night. You got to watch those highlights, man.
I don't care.
It was the Brolo show, and it was
can
awesome.
guarantee I will never ever watch the highlights.
Well, then I'll play it during this show tonight. Maybe you have
then
to.
I will leave.
Oh, what a jerk. What a jerk. Look at you. Jerk.
I'm just saying, I don't give a crap.
Why don't you like the one Wisconsin team you can count on? What the hell is wrong with you?
It's not me.
Oh, okay. It's not you. All right, fine.
I'm just sick of
I'm sorry
everything.
if I was too excited. I was just like, whenever
you can be excited, that's great. I don't get to watch it. I don't really give a crap.
I didn't get to watch the game, but I watched the highlights, and it was fantastic.
Listen, this isn't like it's the same thing with the Cubs, like we talked about when the Cubs won the World Series. I felt nothing.
Oh,
I felt absolutely nothing because I hadn't been a Cubs fan in 20 years. And to be quite honest, I really haven't been a Bucks fan in 20 years. Even when they won the championship a couple of years back, I felt nothing because I really didn't know the players or care for them all that much. And I apologize to you and other Bucks fans out there, but I don't give a crap. Didn't give a crap.
If you don't like the Bucks, you sucks.
I mean, I thought Bobby Portis' name was Bobby Porter. What did I call him last week? I didn't even call his name right.
I don't even know.
I don't even know. And he's my favorite guy. And I don't even know why. I only watched him play like 3 or 4 times.
Look, man.
Every time I watch the Bucks, he's awesome. So he's my favorite guy. That's the thing. You'll find that with me. If I watch a team and then the guy's awesome, and every game I watch, that's probably the best player on the team. Therefore, Bobby Portis is the best player on the Bucks. Sorry.
He is at times, but at times then he thinks he's got to shoot it too much, and then it's not good. But anyway.
Really?
When
Holla think he has to shoot it too much?
Yeah, he does.
Chris Middleton shoot it way too much sometimes when he's not money Middleton, but when he's just
not really
snappy Middleton.
They need Chris Middleton to make shots. That's the thing. But
look, they don't because they don't know how to run an offense. I watched the Bucks.
Javon Carter had a big game last night too.
I don't even know who that is.
He's a good little dude. He's a little point guard.
Don't know who he is.
Guy.
I have no idea.
I'm just telling you, you'll like them. They're the one basketball team that people should like.
I like basketball. I just don't. I don't have time to watch highlights of. Well, I do have time. I just don't. I mean, I actually have tons of time. I just don't want to.
Come on.
I don't want to waste my time watching crappy Bucks highlights.
It's not crappy. You know why? Because Brook Lopez is all in those highlights. Got his fingerprints all over them. Whenever that's the case, they're the best damn highlights you could watch because he's the man. Anyway, they're fun.
What are we talking about? What is this show?
I love Brook Lopez.
Why are we still doing shows? There's nothing to talk about.
Yes,
same crap every week.
it's not the same crap. It's new crap this week because Aaron is back, baby. Aaron is back. Official from his own mouth.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
Aaron Jones, that is back.
But what happens if the other Aaron is... That's great. But you know what else? You know what else is great?
What?
Or what would be great is, I don't know, like, how about if we use them? How about if we put them on the field and use them as a decoy to give other guys a better chance instead of taking them off the field for entire, like series and entire, like, and don't even put them out there. And I don't know, maybe run a play that we know Aaron Jones could possibly do something awesome on. Like, utilize him in the best way. And the Packers and LaFleur don't know how to do that. I wanted Aaron Jones to go somewhere. I wanted him to get cut and go somewhere where they would use him properly. Look at Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams has 1/10 the talent of Aaron Jones, and he scored 17 rushing touchdowns last year.
Lions record. All-time record.
I mean, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. If you just utilize a guy and put him in the best position of what he's good, what's Jamal Williams good at? Running hard and running straight. And that's what the Lions used him for. Run straight and run hard.
He never fumbles. You just give him the ball. He's not going to do anything magical, but he'll get some yards.
There you go. And that's and so they used him right.
Yeah.
Out of the right formations. What do the Packers do with Aaron Jones? They don't use him half the time.
So are we talking about
they let him sit out in the flat, do nothing until Aaron Rodgers decides to dump it off to him when there's a linebacker and a safety waiting to smack his ass right away as soon as he catches it. Genius fucking play calls there, Matt LaFleur.
I don't give a shit. Was that the design play or the adjustment? The route adjustment by the quarterback?
All I know is this. There's one player on the team who is awesome as a man and as a player. And after he fumbled in a game,
stupid,
where the quarterback played like dog shit, all I heard was, Aaron Jones fumbles too much. Aaron Jones fumbles way too much. Aaron Jones fumbles way too much. Even though I showed you on the freaking all 22 that there was 3 mother freaking offensive linemen who could have blocked the one guy who caused the fumble, and not a single damn one of them blocked that guy. But they don't get to blame. Aaron Jones gets it.
Zero's here. Hey, Zero.
So I don't want to hear any more crap.
Oh, Ben, how much would you pay to be allowed to call plays for a Packer game?
How much would I pay? Nothing. How much would they have to pay me? A couple million. Because that's how good I am. 0. If I was calling plays, that team would have won the goddamn Super Bowl this year. Because you know why? Because I would take the quarterback, number 12, out the game. Yeah, I'd put in number 10. Hell, I'd put in Danny Etling before I put in number 12. And he's on the practice squad. I would elevate him from the practice squad and play him before I'd put 12 on the field. And they would have won more games. They would have made the playoffs, and they would have probably gotten to the freaking Super Bowl because the other Super Bowl teams were crap. Maybe they lose to the Eagles because the Eagles are really good. But I don't know.
Maybe you didn't get swept by the Lions this year. If you didn't have Aaron Rodgers in those 2 games, you probably didn't get swept by the Lions.
Well, yeah. But, Aaron Rodgers, we can't lose to that team. Aaron Rodgers is an ass. I'm done with him. I don't care. I'm sick of him. I hope he stays in his dark hole forever and never comes out. That would be the greatest thing ever. Like, maybe he gets lost, or maybe he poops his pants too much or whatever because he can't find the toilet in the dark. I don't know. Whatever happens is fine. I hope he stays there. I hope they lock it and don't let him out. And there you go.
Come on now. Some people are taking this Aaron Jones being back as a sign, and Bob McGinn has his feelers out there writing. Not writing, but on a podcast with
Tyler
about
Dunn. Talk about you said it to me. Talk about it.
Well, Bob McGinn says he thinks the team's done. They're disgusted by Rodgers. Did he say disgusted? Did I say that? Or that's not what I said, but we said it, but I can't remember what he said. I got to look it up. Did he say disgusted by him? Probably.
I don't know. Look
disgusted with Aaron Rodgers. They're done with him, says Bob McGinn. Now, those are his viewpoints. Also,
he said all 3 levels of management, from LaFleur to Goody to Murphy, are all done with Rodgers. That's what he says. Now,
he said it on the golongtd.com podcast with Tyler Dunn. Of course, everybody knows Tyler Dunn because he broke the big story about the McCarthy, Rodgers, and all that stuff.
And Bob McGinn has been a staunch Aaron Rodgers smacker for years, and also has not actually been to Lambeau, I don't think, to cover the team in about a million years. He just has contacts within the organization from years and years ago, and that's why people usually poo-poo his stuff too. And I agree. I don't give a crap what he says, because until I see something, until I hear something from the horse's mouth, I don't believe it. It takes balls. It takes huge balls to go out there and say, hey, Rodgers, bye. That's all you got to do. You just trade his ass to whoever the hell you want. You put it out there. Hey, everybody, we're going to trade Rodgers. Give us your best offer. Take their best offer. Trade his ass. And if he doesn't want to play for that team, he can freaking retire. Because you know what? It's all the same. It's all the same. Trade him for a freaking piece of freaking cheese. I don't care. No, you know what? He's too good for cheese. Trade him for like... I don't even know. Like the other day I said, whatchamacallit, that's too good too. Trade them for Twix. Twix they're okay. They're not the greatest. Plus they led me to a girlfriend one time who, that didn't work out. So we don't want to talk about Twixes around here. So trade Aaron Rodgers for a Twix, and then you could break it in half. You give one to Goody, you give one to LaFleur, you give one to Mark Murphy, and you give one to Russ Ball. Right? You just break the two Twix. One's the right side, one's the left side. Boom, you're done. He's gone. No worries. Moving on. Let's go. But until they actually do it and say it, I don't care what Bob McGinn says. I don't care what all these other people say. And the other thing is this. If they keep talking like this, the dumb teams that will maybe trade for him are going to freaking wise up and be like, wait a minute, we don't want this idiot. Because they're already talking about it now. Tiki Barber's saying he ain't going to make it. Everybody, all of a sudden, all these reporters are saying, no, the Packers don't want anything to do with him. Nobody wants to deal with that guy. He's crazy. Nobody wants to deal with this dark hole ayahuasca crap. And it's true. And the more people talk about it, the less we're going to get.
Yeah.
And eventually we're going to get stuck with him. So it doesn't matter that Aaron Jones is back, because he's going to get screwed, because 12 will be back. And then I'll freaking have to still be a Packer fan because Aaron Jones is the best. And I love Aaron Jones, and then I'll still be a Packer. Why couldn't they just cut Aaron Jones, let him go to another team so I can be a fan of another team? But no, I have to be a stupid Packer fan because the stinking Aaron Jones is such an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Dang it, Aaron Jones. Why are you so awesome?
All right, bro. You got it. Hey, you loved Aaron Jones from the start, and you got to stick with it now. Now, anyway, this was the other part. Other parts of the article, there were quotes in there saying that they didn't like how they think Rodgers didn't show up to camp in very good shape. Looked a little chubby there in his Nick Cage tighty whitey.
He did,
and he did. I know it. And then also that they didn't like how he's not working hard. He's not there in the off season. He doesn't do what he needs to do to get ready for seasons. So and that comes back to Love. They love Love. Love's been in there for all that stuff. So you have to, you don't need to be mad at Aaron Rodgers. You got to thank him for opening the door, for taking all this time off to get Jordan Love all those reps to get better, so the team finally has confidence in him so they can move on. So maybe in the end, Aaron Rodgers' master plan of doing all this distractive stuff to stick it to the Packers and screw everything up and make it all about him and not show up and try to put him in turmoil really is the one thing that allowed Jordan Love to get the opportunities he needed to get good enough where the team's like, yes, we're going to make the switch.
Not only that, but it also allowed it allowed Love to show to the teammates who were at all the OTAs that he can be a leader. And he's proven it this year. And Aaron Jones has talked about it. And Romeo Doubs has talked about it. And Devondre Campbell talked about it last year on his TV show. These guys have talked about it. And a lot of them, like Aaron Jones in particular, is a captain of the team finally this last year. And he will be again next year because he's coming back and he makes sacrifice. He's got to give up $5 million of his that's not guaranteed, but it's part of his contract. And you would say, well, if he didn't do it, they'd cut him and he would only make $3 million or whatever the crap, or however much, I don't know what it is. But I get it. But the bottom line is this. Jordan Love has an opportunity here, and he had an opportunity for 2 seasons in the offseason to really hone his skills. Because the first year, let's face it, he didn't have it. He had the COVID year. He wasn't even able to freaking practice or anything, right? So he really only had 2 years of offseason work. And because Rodgers stayed away because he was whiny brouhaha, then Love got to really develop and show not only the coaches, but his teammates what he's about. And it comes down to this. When they drafted him, it was Goody hitching his wagon to him. Same thing as when Ted Thompson drafted Aaron Rodgers. If you don't make the move now, then why the fart did we draft this guy? Because we're going to get nothing out of it. And it comes time to stand up, grab your nutsack, and grab Aaron Rodgers and shove him out the door and prove that you got the nutsack and he doesn't have a nutsack.
Yeah.
We got Big Sakia. He's back, right? We got the Big Sakia. Take him out there. Let him frickin' shove Rodgers out the door. I don't care. Let's do it.
Bob McGinn said LaFleur is even tired of him. LaFleur.
Well, of course he is.
I would be too after all those plays changed by.
Don't you remember? 12. Yeah, when Wilde asked him that Rodgers didn't like the play calls at the end of the game, and then we went over those last 3 plays, and we saw in the very first play there was 5 guys wide open, and Rodgers threw the ball out of bounds like a douchebag. And LaFleur had already watched that film at that point because this was Monday. This was the day after he watched the film, and Jason Wilde said, "Yeah, Aaron Rodgers didn't seem to like the play call, so you guys called." And LaFleur's like, "Oh, really? Huh? Well, that's I could tell just from there he was like, that's funny because I had guys wide ass open on the first down." Now, did they have protection issues later on with the draft or with the blitz and some other things? And Zach Tom, yeah, okay, it happened. A third down, he couldn't get the ball already. Blah blah blah. Even though Alan Lazard was coming open in the middle of the field, whatever. But we're not talking about that. But LaFleur knows. LaFleur's starting to know. Now, I don't know if he's smart enough to lead the team. I don't know how good a coach he is. We don't know because he hasn't been a coach for 3 years. It's been Aaron Rodgers' show. But he's got to stand up.
He was kind of the coach.
He's got to stand up. Yeah, the first year's pretty good. But they got to stand up and say, hey, we're done with this guy. We're moving on. Goodbye. See ya. Okay, I'm done. I don't want to talk about him anymore. I hate him.
I don't either. You're the one that keeps going back to it. What if?
Because I'm sick of it.
But what if this year, now that Aaron Jones is back, I put it in to the show. Maybe it means a bigger load for him, 2023. Maybe it gets back to like 2019 style where he gets all those red zone opportunities and scores a bunch of touchdowns. Because if you give him the opportunities, he's going to find a sneaky way to the end zone, even if it's Josh Myers out there blocking, right?
But we need a quarterback who will give him
the
ball.
Hands it to him. I know.
That only happens if Ding Dong is gone.
I know. That's why it's going to happen. So get excited. But anyway, how about?
I don't think it's going to happen.
Did anymore. You? I was spending a little time today as I was nursing my affliction here that I have going on, which I'll get into later. But I spent a little time. I watched the Rich Eisen interview with Kirk Cousins Super Bowl week. I didn't see that before. Kirk Cousins, stand-up guy, right? He at least took the heat for certain things, and he dealt with it. And now he's got the chains going. He got this big thing with Kay Jewelers. Congratulations, Kirk Cousins. And then what else happened? Then I watched Jared Goff's interview, and I heard things that I was like, "What?" Did you happen to watch? So this wasn't Super Bowl week. This was like leading up to the Super Bowl week. Okay, it's a good interview with Jared Goff. It's just by phone, and Jared Goff is on there with Rich Eisen. But I'll give you a couple of interesting notes that he made. So Rich Eisen is asking about playing for Dan Campbell and all this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah,
and what it's like, and what it was like when they were 1-6, and how they kept, how they fought back and the Lions fought back. And Jared Goff just basically said, he's like, yeah, we really came together as a team. Nobody was pointing fingers. We all talked about what we could do better. And the coaches kept us, engaged, and they believed in us, and they kept putting us in position. But the players, we came together. And Aiden Hutchinson said it too, that as a defense, they came together and said, look, we got to be better. We got to do this better. We got to improve on things to turn the season around. But they stuck together. I remember Aaron Rodgers had a quote in the media about sticking together. Be interesting to see what people say. And then he was the one saying,
he was the one who said it. Yeah.
Right. So that was one thing that didn't happen with the Packers. They didn't stick together, thanks to him. But
when their captains is throwing everybody under the bus, it's hard to stick together.
Yeah, 100%. So anyway, the other part, this is the other interesting part that blew me away. Jared Goff was talking about the when they threw the third down pass or fourth down pass, whatever it was, to Penei Sewell and iced one of the games where he caught it and flopped on the, stayed in bounds and stuff. So he said that when they practiced this stuff and they knew that play was coming, because when they brought in that package, they had 3 plays planned in that package that were going to be sequential in a row. So the coach said, here's our plan with this personnel. We're going to run these 3 plays in the sequence of a game. And those are the 3 plays we're going to run. And all the players knew it.
Wow.
Is that What? So the coach wasn't like calling a play and then being like, oh man, what am I going to call on second down? Oh yeah, well, I guess I'll call this play. I don't know. He just said, we got a first down and 10. We're calling these 3 plays in a row in this sequence to get a first down. And that's what they called. And the players ran the plays and they got a first down. I thought, wow. So the coach calls plays, made a plan. The players knew what the plan was because they practiced it and they executed the plan and it worked. Okay. I just thought it was wild because I don't think that's happened like probably once in the last 2 years in Green Bay. So,
well, I mean, the offensive coordinator of the Lions was highly sought after guy.
I get it. He's cool.
Hiring, phase. I don't think he got hired by anybody though. I think he's still with the Lions.
No, he decided to stick with the Lions. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is actually bad because the Lions are a tough-nosed team.
They're coming up.
They have good coaching on offense. They got a solid, their head coach has got a mentality about him. Maybe he's not the smartest guy in the world, but he's, he takes chances and he knows who he is and he believes in his guys and he gives them a chance. And there's not all coaches are like that. Some coaches are afraid to do something because they're afraid to screw up, like Mike McCarthy. He was the kind of guy who was afraid to do stuff and screw up. If he had a lead, he'd sit on it. Where I think when Dan Campbell's got a lead, he just keeps going.
Yeah.
So usually they don't have leads because they're not that good. But still, I don't know.
Well, they are pretty good. And they're a fun team to watch. And the other part is, we talked about it before, the fan base. I mean, you saw what it was like at the end of the previous season when they won their final game of the season against the Packers. And they'd only won 2 games before that, right? They were like 2-15 or whatever, 2-14. And the freaking fans were into it. And a final game of the season, basically a meaningless game, and the fans were into it. So the fans are going crazy, and the Lions they're riding a surge. They're a fun team to watch, and there would be really fun team to be a fan of, and they're building some good stuff over there. So the Packers got to get back. Like the Packers, not only you can't. That's another reason why. Like the Vikings, okay, they're going to ebb and flow. Now they named a new, they got a new defensive coordinator. He's probably going to be better than Donatella, right?
Probably he's going to be way better.
Yeah, so you got.
He's like an innovative defensive mind who was a head coach of a team who should have never got canned, and it's like I'm worried.
And you should be worried because the other thing that Viking Mo told us in the text was that Zadarius Smith's house is on the market in Eagan, Minnesota. Ugh. I don't know how Viking Mo knows that. I don't know. Maybe he was his next door neighbor or something. I don't know. But anyway, Zadarius Smith's house is on the market, so the Vikings are not only got a good new defensive coordinator, they're also getting rid of that excess weight of Zadarius Smith, getting him the hell out of there so he can't take a bunch of plays off. So the Vikings are going to be better. The Lions are going to be better. The Bears, as long as they still have Justin Fields, will be bad. But the Packers cannot do the same old here. You can't run it all back and get all these old dudes back like Rodgers wanted. It just can't happen. So the Packers got to move forward, and it appears that maybe they are. Maybe they've realized it, and maybe they actually will move forward this year. So we'll see. Anyway, I don't know. I love the Lions, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the Packers moving forward. Maybe our show's going to have to be like a slash show. You have to do half Lions, half Packers. I don't know. But Lions are a team I can get behind 100%.
They're fine.
Zero says Lions are the funnest team to watch over the past 2 seasons because they play their butts off. Yeah. And their crowd was into it. There are a lot of them in Green Bay for that last game too when they won. So that was a pretty big deal. All right. That was all the big news with Aaron Jones coming back, Z's house on the market, Bob McGinn's story. What was the last bit I sent you? Something on?
I don't know.
Oh, God dang it. I sent you this. This is
like
pay
attention. Dude, I don't pay attention to that stuff.
All right. Let's see. What was the last one? Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. There's an interesting video a guy just put out. I sent it to you. The guy's not very good at talking over stuff. But I sent it to you guys. I'll plug it in.
Oh, that Lions thing. Yeah.
It re-shows all the terrible plays. It re-shows all the disrespect the Lions got, and it re-shows all the terrible plays the Packers made against them. And mostly Aaron Rodgers really, really bad throws in both those games against the Lions. So, don't forget, if the Packers just had won one of those games against the Lions, which were both winnable games, if the quarterback doesn't play like trash.
Well, the first one was all Rodgers.
Yeah.
And he still took no blame from the majority of the games.
Right.
That's the thing that blows my mind. when the guy played absolutely god awful terrible. By the way, his worst games are always against the Lions.
I know he's terrible against the Lions.
He had one time where he had the lucky Hail Mary at the end where Richie Rodgers went up and made the awesome catch.
Yeah, Richie.
But other than that, Rodgers usually stinks against the Lions. But you know who was good against the Lions? Matt Flynn. Maybe we should get Matt Flynn back.
Oh man. Rick is there. He knows. Z's 3,846 square foot home coming soon. Hit the market for a cool $795. Yeah, that's pretty cheap.
Well, I think Brian Flores likes the 4-3 defense. And not only that, when you run a 4-3 defense, your outside defensive ends have to be able to hold up against the run. And we know Zadarius Smith can't do that. So there's no way they're going to keep him for that. Though he was never a 3-4 outside linebacker either because he can't cover anybody or drop back or anything. So, I mean, Zadarius Smith is probably, I think, out of all Packers, in the history of all Packers, this is saying something. He might be very well the most overrated pile of shit in the history of all Packer players.
Most overrated.
That is saying something. That is saying something. But the fact that this guy got all these sacks, and
it's not even that many. There's 17 games.
No, I know.
I'm just saying, like, he made the Pro Bowl again. How?
Because people are dumb.
Oh,
people are dumb. They think that the guy makes 1 or 2 plays a game. He even said it himself. You only got to make 1 or 2 plays a game, and then you make the Pro Bowl, and that's how you make all the money. And the thing that bothers me is, how do these NFL teams not get it? Watch the film, right? Don't they see he doesn't play the run? Don't they see he has no idea where the ball is? All he ever does is beat the guy in front of him and then try to get to the quarterback, even if the ball's not there anymore. It's not that hard to even, like, I don't know jack shit. I never played football, like organized football. I never freaking studied football. I never coached football. All I ever did was play Madden. And you can learn some stuff by playing Madden, but that's about it. But I know this much. When you watch the film and you watch all 10 other defensive players move with the ball when the quarterback throws it away, and there's one guy who keeps going at the quarterback when the ball's gone, you know that guy's dumb. You know that. And not only that, when it happens on multiple plays a game, probably 90% of the time, that guy is not a good player. He's just not. I mean, he's way, way, way more overrated than any other Packer in the history of Packers. You think of somebody, you name them, I'll tell you. And that includes Sean Jones, who was never as good as everybody says he was.
Keith Jackson.
That includes Fatty Keith, who didn't block a single player on offense ever once.
Does that include Tyrone Williams?
That includes the self-proclaimed awesome corner Tyrone Williams. Because Tyrone Williams at least made a couple plays here and there and covered some guys every now and again. But when it comes to overrated in the eyes of Packer fans and Packer brass and Packer reporters, Zadarius Smith is by far the most overrated pile of crap ever to wear a green and gold jersey.
That's bold, man. That's a bold statement.
I don't think it's bold. I think it's honest.
That's why I say subscribe for more truth. Now, we got some people where, the truth is hard to take sometimes. I get it. Look, let me just say this real quick. The truth is hard sometimes. It's hard to accept it. It's hard to face it when you believe one truth for a very long time, and then you have to face the reality truth that's in front of you. And so I understand, we got people who are done. They don't want to listen to the truth anymore. I get it. But we're going to keep saying it. So I'm sorry.
Lose more subscribers again?
Yeah, we'll lose some subscribers, but that's what happens when you speak the truth.
People
we can't worry about it.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right. Some people can't. And look, the truth is hard. I had to face the truth. I had to face the truth today and yesterday that I have some wacky ass nerve problem going on with my leg that's making me freak out and be in intense pain and basically crumble to the ground.
Yeah, but you're a wimp. I could never handle pain.
I know, but
handle pain.
Well, that's true. But anyway, this is really intense stuff, man, because it's all nerve craziness and it just freaks out. It's so hard. Oh, God. I'm lucky I'm stationary for the show, or I'd be in trouble right now. Anyway, it's a
You got to
weird
be careful.
situation.
You got to be careful with nerves.
I do. JJ McQuaid's here, says picking out at Texas Roadhouse. Was that like a Z quote, or are you actually doing that? I don't even know. Anyway, maybe he actually is there. Anyway, you should like the Bucks, as I said previously. You should be encouraged by some of the stuff going on with the Packers. I think.
Let's just hold off. Everybody just wait.
I'm not talking about the Rodgers stuff. I'm just saying. Aaron
No,
Jones
I know,
is back,
but Jason, the entire team
Jones is back.
Is centered around whether this ding dong asshole monkey comes back and plays for this team again. If he does, it's the same crap. The coach can't coach. The players can't play. It doesn't matter what anybody does because he runs the whole thing into the ground and takes no blame for it because people are dumb. So until he's gone, I don't want to hear it. Am I a Lakers fan? Zero. Are you freaking serious? Are you freaking serious?
Well, maybe he thinks because Kareem went there. And
I hate the Lakers more. I was a Kobe Bryant fan, though. I did like Kobe Bryant. Yes.
You did. I didn't like Kobe Bryant. I thought he was a punk ass.
I did. Yeah. Well, that's why I like him.
Oh, that's why you liked him. Because he was kind of cheap.
He was an ass and he was cheap. And you know what? Right. He backed that shit up. When you're a guy who can back it up and you're an ass, fine. Aaron Rodgers used to be an ass and he could back it up, and now he can't back it up no more. So I ain't behind.
He got away with fouling Ray Allen a lot back in the day. But
listen,
dude, that always pissed me off. But
I always listen. Growing up watching Michael Jordan smack his own arm so he get freaking penalties called for him against the Bucks, and playing like all he did was dunk and miss shots all the time and think he was the man. Get away with murder, grabbing dudes left and right.
You think you'd be a LeBron fan?
You think I'm a LeBron fan?
LeBron's all right. Come on.
LeBron is the Aaron Rodgers of basketball.
Right. Oh, come on. He is not like that. That's mean. LeBron has not done all this crazy stuff. And
no, you're right. LeBron, he's a nice guy.
Good stuff. Yeah, he's an all right guy.
He's just been handed his entire life to him ever since he was in high school. He was declared the king before he even left high school. But certainly. Oh, Zero is a Jazz fan. That's interesting. Jazz. If you were a Jazz fan during the Jordan era, well, then you might know my favorite basketball player of all time because he was a Denver Nugget.
Ooh.
This is my type of guy. My type of guy is the underdog. My type of guy is the Aaron Jones, a 5th-round pick who ends up being one of the greatest running backs in the history of all time in yards per carry. And yards above expected combination. Boom. He's in the top 3 of all time and yards above expected. Well, not of all time, but in the last 30 years.
What are we talking about here? Yards above expected? Where are we here? Are we back on football now?
I saw it on a thing. I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm just, whatever. What I'm saying is this.
Get to it.
My favorite basketball player is Robert Pack.
Oh,
Robert Pack. The Pack man. That guy was insane. 6'2", dunking over the top of 7'6" Sean Bradley. What? Freaking assists left and right. Steals, dribbling all over the place, dunking in dude's face. He could hit a 3. He wasn't very good at it. But man, he could hit shots. He could dish the ball like a madman. He'd see things before they even happened. And he turned a Denver Nugget team that had nothing because they had Bobby, what was his name? Brian Stith or whatever his name was, starting at shooting guard, and they had Chris Jackson, otherwise known as Mahadroof or whatever the hell his name was.
He was Chris Jackson first, yeah.
He was Chris Jackson first, right? They changed his name to Mahadroof or whatever.
Right.
Then they had him at point guard, but then when Brian Stith or whatever his name got hurt, then they moved Mahadroof, Chris Jackson over to shooting guard, and then they started Robert Pack, and they went from being a crappy-ass bullshit garbage team to a playoff team. Who was the first NBA basketball team in history as an 8 seed to beat a number 1 seed. And that was led by Robert Pack, Dikembe Mutombo, Rodney Rogers, Ellis at freaking small forward, Chris Jackson / Mahu Kamruf Petruth.
Is that Dale Ellis?
Dale Ellis was there.
Who later became a Buck? When he was 40.
He was there too. They had 2 Ellises, or maybe they had 2 Rogers.
Okay.
I
remember Dale Ellis was 40 on the Buck by the time he got to the Bucks or something.
Anyway, Robert Pack was the sole man.
I got you. Look at Zero getting us on some NBA tonight.
Who brought that team from a pile of dog crap to an awesome team. Robert Pack.
We'll come back to Packers here in a second. We gotta get through zero stuff. The decision was pretty ridiculous, but it's not as bad as like Rodgers crap. But it was pretty embarrassing for LeBron. Favorite player of all time was Stockton. Had a little scrappy, chunky. Well, he wasn't chunky, but he was scrappy little dude. Whatever. But second, look at this. A close second, Detlef Schrempf. Who remembers the Schrempf? He was
I never understood the love for Detlef Schrempf. I mean, he was great in NBA Jam because
he was really
wasn't he the guy? Yeah, but did they make him really short in NBA Jam because they were stupid and they didn't know that he was that tall?
I don't remember. I just remember it looked like he had like Dad's patented haircut. Remember that was the haircut that Dad would give everybody back in the day when he was a barber and just whip out the flat tops.
Yeah,
the flat top, not high top. Hell's wrong with you? Sam Cassell, come on, Lee. Don't get us on Sam Cassell.
Lee, come on. Are you kidding me, Lee? I just lost all respect for you. You were like the guy I trusted more than anything, and now you come up with this. Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell is the single reason why the Bucks in the early 2000s, late 90s fell apart. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on, Lee.
He was a very conflicting player because at times he was the only guy that could make a shot and they needed it, but then he would shoot too much, and when they had other guys they should get the ball to,
they had three guys winning. They had three guys who were better offensively than him by him, and he would never distribute the ball. He's the opposite of Robert Pack.
He definitely was not a point guard. He definitely was not a point guard.
And before he was there, they actually were better.
Oh, Lee was only 14, so he was impressionable back
then.
Okay, all
right.
He probably saw the highlights, Cassell making a couple of plays, and then thought he was great. And then he probably also saw, oh wait, and Terrell Brandon, TB, a little scrappy little dude. He was fast. He could shoot okay. Awesome. He was just so damn short that it wasn't great for him. But
still, he was awesome.
When he was on the Bucks were not good.
See, that Bucks team I liked because they had Scotty Williams, Darvin Ham down low, smacking the crap out of dudes, dunking over dudes, getting bored. You had Tim Thomas coming off the bench, draining threes at 6'10".
That was awesome.
Killer. You had Big Dog who would just drain every single 17-foot jumper, no matter what, no matter if it was a guy in his face, didn't matter.
Jog down the court,
and then jog down. and then the play would start. And then as soon as the play was done, he went from 6 foot. He went from 6'7" to 5'10", just like that. As soon as the play was done,
it's like he went into low power mode every time.
Yeah, every time.
You know what I mean?
His battery power went way. Yeah, he had to really save.
You get charged up to shoot it, and then after the shot, then he was just like going to low power mode. That's hilarious.
But then, more importantly, they had the secret weapon, the greatest in the history of all time.
Wait, even greatest what? You broke up.
Secret weapon.
Secret weapon.
Who wasn't a secret at all.
No.
The smooth dunker in the history of NBA.
Oh, Ray Allen?
The highest jump shot in the history of the NBA. The jump shot threes. Nobody got off the ground higher than Ray Allen on his jump shot three. That's why when he got older, he kind of, he wasn't quite as good because he couldn't jump as high anymore. But that guy would jump freaking 2.5 feet in the air on every single 3-point shot because he was 6'5" and he had to shoot over the top of big guys, and he would still drain them all. But when he dunked, it was so gorgeous. Everybody loved the big smack the crap out of you dunks, right? Like when you went up, like Darvin Ham would go up and just smack the crap, boom, right? But Ray would just glide. He would just keep gliding. He just glided. Like it seemed like he was just floating in air. And just whoop, every time.
I always felt like a synergy with him, like Hafman's verticals and Ray Allen's verticals, so similar, right?
No. What? We were more like Scott Williams vertical.
I wish we could can you imagine what it actually feel like to be able to just kind of hang in the air like that and actually almost feel like you're lifting up a little bit as you go up? You jumped a while ago and you're still going up. I mean, our jumps were over before you even thought about it. Anyway, that was some fun Bucks nostalgia tonight.
And then of course, don't forget Irvin Johnson's giant mouth after that one dunk he had in the playoffs.
One dunk, one time where he didn't fumble the ball away.
Yeah, when they tried to pass hands in the history of all time. Now that's a guy Sam Cassell didn't have to pass to because he would never catch it, so that's fine.
You also should like this Bucks team right now because Vin Baker's the coach. He's a big man's coach.
Yeah, but Vin,
he coaches the Bucks,
Brook Lopez. They weren't that good.
No, they weren't good, but he was good. He was a good player on a really terrible team for a while. Poor Vin Baker. Anyway, we'll get back to Packers now. Anyway, check out the Bucks, and Brook Lopez is the man. All right. William G was here, and he made this comment before. He says it's time to start fully utilizing the LaFleur system. Pass first team in cold weather isn't working well. Yes, you understand, William G. Will the Packers understand? Like, I don't understand. I remember shows late this season, Ben, as we were going through them, and you said this team is finally built to play the way the Packers should play in late season games. And then what did they do against the Lions in the last game? They didn't run the ball that much, and they freaking passed way too much again.
Yeah.
Including in their red zone trips. And I still want to do that. I still want to do that examination if certain things happen. Now, if what we hope happens and we just can move on, I'm ready to move on. Don't get me wrong. But if the bad stuff could happen, then it's time to break down all the red zone plays and find out how many. I said I would do this, and I will. I'll comb through it all and find out how many runs, how many passes, down and distances. We'll break it down and share it so we can face the truth about why the Packers are so bad in the red zone in 2022 season, because mostly we already know it. But I will put it in front of people's faces again, because sometimes you got to be reminded of stuff. Just like when I went back and rewatched some of our takes after the first loss to the Lions this season. Man, we nailed it. We nailed it.
We always do.
And people somehow still weren't seeing Aaron Rodgers was an issue. I don't get it. Anyway, whatever. But Matt LaFleur, run the ball. Have a quarterback who'll hand it off. Let's do that for once in our lives, huh? Be great.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting is
Wyatt's here. Hey, Wyatt.
Our offensive line is not built to be a run-first offensive line, unfortunately. Because we have agile guys.
I don't know if they are really, though. They're kind of weird offensive. Well, okay, Zach
Dave
Tom,
Bakhtiari,
yes.
Elton Jenkins. They're not bulldozers. You got to tackle.
You got to be tough.
You got to tackle playing guard with Runyon Bunyan. The only guy you have that's big and mauling is a guy who falls down all the time. So what good is that? Your center is the one guy who should be able to be agility and quick on his feet and smart is the one guy who's a big loafer. You know what I mean? Like the center should be the one guy who can adjust, get the ball off quick, get his pads on a guy to hold off a little bit and help out when there needs help in other places.
Jason Kelce is not a big guy.
No, he's smart and he's able to get up quick, and he's old now, but he's smart, right?
Yeah.
Creed Humphrey, I mean, come on, that's the guy we should have drafted and was drafted right after Josh Myers, by the way, the very next pick. I think the Chiefs must have been so happy. They're like, what? The Packers just took this big lumbering ding dong. I mean, he's probably a great guy. I mean, as a guy, I think Josh Myers is awesome. He's an awesome guy.
He was fine.
But he ain't no freaking Creed Humphrey. I mean, come on.
I remember that draft night. That's exactly what we talked about. We were like, what's happening here? And then in the very next pick, Chiefs are like, what? I think that pick was within a minute. It was like,
but I mean, if you go back to the Packers history, their centers have not been big guys. No. You know what I mean? I mean, Frankie Winters wasn't like a monster. Scotty Wells wasn't a monster. Jim Flanagan wasn't a monster. Even Corey Linsley was a little bigger, but he was still...
No, he's kind of small. He's pretty small.
And Lukey Patrick played great when he was in there at center. These are all guys who are smart, agile, and maybe not agile, but at least somewhat agile and smart enough to help and adjust and make moves. And it's what's weird to me is it seems like Goody is trying to draft, or LaFleur wants Goody or whoever. They're trying to draft for this run-first offense, but yet they still play the offense as if it's a pass-first offense. And that's the problem, because their offensive line can't hold up the same in some areas. So then, like when you have a big lumbering guy like Sean Ryan, who you drafted, and Josh Myers, who you drafted, and Rashid Walker, who's a big lumbering tackle, those guys don't see the field because it doesn't fit what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. So you see Zach Tom, Runyon Bunyan at guard, who's actually a tackle playing guard, and then Jenkins, who's can't play tackle because he's not quick enough. But he's playing guard. But it's just they're agility guys, and that's why we can't move the pocket. How many times on 3rd and 4th and 1 where we can't get a freaking yard because our guys can't get off the ball and get in. And, in the red zone, we can't get off the ball and get 2 yards unless A.J. Dillon plows over a dude. And only if he gets it out of freaking single back formation with the quarterback under center. So we need Rodgers to be gone, but then also they have to adjust who they play if they're going to adjust how they play.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the best result is for that. I don't know. I don't know if Zach Tom is. I like Zach Tom. He's awesome. But does he fit with a run first offense? I don't know. It's weird.
It's a good question. I mean, would the same offensive linemen be playing if they were more of a run first team? And I'm not sure either. I think mostly yes, because I just don't think the guys that are, behind them. Now, we don't know if they'll add anybody in the draft or who that might be or how they might prioritize offensive line. But most of the guys that they had behind guys that were starting were definitely not as good. Didn't perform as well when they got opportunities to be in. But, who knows? I mean, the thing we've seen for years and years and years, which I don't think helps any of these guys, is all the switching around all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it gives you more, it gives you more versatility and flexibility on your, your final cuts and your 53-man roster and your 46 game day roster. I get it. But and I'm not saying everybody's got to be to just a specific spot, but some of these guys, at least if they're a tackle, have them back up at tackle, not have them back up at guard and tackle and be playing them in and all this stuff. And some of the other guys too, it's just all the stuff they did with Jenkins, again, took away from his play, but it also kept other guys from being in the game to develop players they could be. Yeah, right. It just didn't make sense. And it wasn't the best thing for the team, So they gotta define what guys are, and the coaches should know that. And then they got to train them to be in those spots, whether it's a tackle, guard, or center, and play those guys. Like, not everybody can be Lucas Patrick. Okay, sorry, and not everybody can be a tackle and a guard. Just what it is. Inside guys are pretty much inside guys, and tackles, it should be tackles.
Well, based on what we've seen over the last 3 years, that's not how it's going to be. They train multiple guys for multiple positions. I know, they love it. I don't remember them doing that with McCarthy.
No,
I mean,
it seemed like guys that backed up.
Yeah, if there was, this guy backed up a tackle, maybe he backed up both tackles, but he didn't play guard ever.
Right.
And the guards played guard, and that was it. And the center had a backup center, and that was it. And those guys knew their roles. And the offensive line of the Packers under McCarthy was probably its strength more often than not, like almost all the time. And a lot of that probably had to do with James Campen, who's probably one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of all time. And they didn't sign him back when they lost McCarthy. And he's out there. I think he's out there right now, because I think he was on some team as an offensive coach just last year, like Panthers or something. And I think he's out there.
That was a good point about Campen. Yeah, he was great.
Great coach.
Former player. Centers should be, you should have a backup center. You shouldn't have a guy that's a backup guy who will work in at center, but could be a guard and blah, blah, blah. Like, you should have a guy who's your designated backup center. 100%. Not multi-use, multi-purpose, try to save some guys, roster spots, blah, blah, blah. Get your other positions sorted out. There's way too many active. Let me say this about the Packers. Way too many active game day defensive backs or safeties that I never even see the damn field. Like, they're like 6 safety, but they're active on game day. Come on. No. You figure that crap out. Be more efficient with that.
They do that on defense too, where they have like Savage, where they had him play deep safety, then they have him play nickel, and they like all these different spots, and it's like, pick a spot for him, and if he sucks at it, then move him to the other spot and then leave him there. Don't keep moving him back again. And they would do that with, Rudy Ford. They had him all over the place, and it's just, I don't know. And the other thing that bothers me is this. Everybody keeps saying how we need more receivers. We need another receiver, another veteran receiver. And I'm like, no, we don't need a veteran receiver, because I don't want to see him on the field. I want to see Christian Watson, and I want to see Romeo Doubs on the field. Now, if they get hurt, then we might have an issue. Fine. But when you sign a veteran receiver or trade for a veteran receiver, that guy's taking their spots away, and I don't want that. The other thing is I want to see guys in designated roles. Like Josiah DeGuara, for instance, is at a designated role, and he's all over the place. He lines up all over the place, but that's his role. He's the guy who lines up all over the place and does crazy stuff. And he's really good at it. And that's all he does. How many times you see DeGuara line up at inline tight end? Hardly ever.
Yeah, not much.
He's usually, he'll sometimes be the second tight end, off ball tight end, and on the same side of the field, but he's never lined up at tight end by himself on one side of the field. He's usually in the backfield or whatever. But I think they need to. That's one thing I do agree with Rodgers, where he said simplify the offense. I think what it should be is simplify the role, simplify a player's role on the team, and then run plays specifically for that player with those roles. And you might say, well, that'll give it away when they come in there. And I'm like, well, do you think it gives it away when Mercedes Lewis is in the game that they're going to run the damn ball? Pretty sure no, that's going to happen. When Christian Watson's in the game, does it give away that, guess what, this guy could go deep on you and look out? Yeah. But that also makes the defense worry about that thing. And then instead of doing that thing, you do something else because the defense is worried about that you consistently do that with that player. And then you do the trick play or the other play that utilizes what the defense thinks is going to happen against them, and you get somebody wide open because of it. And that's called coaching. And that's called utilizing your players the best. And you find the weakness on the opposing team's defense or offense, and you exploit that weakness. And that's what Bill Belichick does. And Bill Belichick's done his whole career.
What's one other thing that the Super Bowl showed us, Ben?
I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
You didn't watch it? Okay. Well, the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Got a number of first downs and significant plays. And and 2 touchdowns because of confusing the defense because of motion.
Motion? Don't say that.
Now, that's what I said. I'm like, if Aaron Rodgers is watching this game, does he still hate motion so much? Oh, that's right. He wants it to be harder. He has to make a perfect pass for the play to be good. He doesn't want the guy to be wide open because the defense screwed up on motion. Okay. Now we got it.
See, that's the thing. Like, nobody understands that big, huge Christian Watson touchdown against the Eagles that Jordan Love threw to him. Aaron Rodgers would never throw that ball, even though he's wide ass open. It's an 8-yard pass in the air. Rodgers would never throw that ball because it's too easy. He don't like that. He'd wait until he crossed across the defense, and then he'd throw it over there. Then the safety would be over there and tackle him right away. And that's the difference. If you hit him in stride, moving across the field, gone. Nah. Won't do that. We don't want to talk about that.
I'm looking forward to Christian Watson year 2 and a bunch of these
guys.
All
right, so Mr. JJ over here, McQuaid, is saying...
What does he say now?
He says, if Dingbat comes back, do you think Love demands a trade? I don't see how they afford it. What do you think about that, Chase? Do you think Love demands a trade? And if he does demand a trade, do the Packers oblige the trade?
Bob McGinn thinks it's done anyway. Bob McGinn thinks even if Rodgers come back, they're going to sit him on the bench.
Bob McGinn hasn't been to Lambeau Field in like 8 years. He doesn't know Jack. Like Bill Michaels is back. Bill Michaels knows nothing, and he does his radio thing, and it's like, shut up, Bill Michaels. Anyways,
can you imagine that though? Like Rodgers comes back to get all his money, and Matt LaFleur and the brass is like, fine, you got us there, but you're going to be backing up Jordan Love.
There's no way they're going to pay a guy $50 million.
It'd be the greatest ballsy power move of all time. He's so great.
That's why that story is not at all true. Bob McGinn knows about nothing.
Look, but I don't know that. Jordan Love wants to play. He was clear about that. He's been clear about that. You could see it after he got a chance to play in the Philadelphia game, answering questions after the game. Dude wants to play, and everyone thinks he's ready to play. Other players, other teammates, coaches, everybody thinks he's ready to play. So I'm hoping that guides the Packers in this decision. But if they can't move Rodgers, they should be able to. Like, come on. Favre, fine. You only got a 3rd-round pick.
They just trade a 3rd-round pick. Who gives a crap?
The Packers cannot be choosy like they would have been able to be choosy last year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They would have been able to be very choosy last year and get a haul. But they missed out on that. So that one's going to hurt for a while. Right now, you can't be choosy. You take whatever you can get. And by the day and by the more Rodgers antics, that's getting harder and harder to make it look like it's going to actually be
but the
more than
question,
one first round pick.
we're talking about Jordan Love.
Yeah. So anyway, what I'm saying is, I mean, you got to keep him around.
Because here's the thing: if Rodgers comes back, right,
You got to keep him around. You can't.
and he's
trade him.
but if he comes back and he's on the books for this year, then
Yeah.
he's on the books for another $100 million for the next year.
Jeez.
So if they cut him next year, they'd have to wait until June 1st, and then it would be like 60 million or something in that year, and then 40 the year. I don't know, some crazy number, because he would have hit some sort of roster bonus by starting the year off on the team, like this 2023, something like that. It's something, I don't know exact numbers, but it's something like that. So not only does him coming back force you as an organization to pretty much blow everything up after this year, okay, it also cripples you to signing Jordan Love for another contract, because his money is also part of that money that Rodgers would be now making in the next 2 years, even though he's not on the team or whatever. And I can guarantee if that happens, if Rodgers comes back for this year and then he's on the cap for that huge thing next year, there's no way that they'd have to restructure it and shove it all even more into the future with void years and all this bull crap to try to make up for it. And then he's not going to be want to be part of that team, because they're going to have, no cap space and it's a big mess and blah, blah, and all this kind of crap. Right.
I mean, come on. His BS about, if I'm not part of a rebuild, I don't want to be part of that. Like, he doesn't care. He just wants his money. He doesn't care about winning. He showed you forever. Yeah. But the thing is,
no, well, hang on.
Don't you think that's all part of his plan, though? I think this is his long game chess plan right here.
Not
Screw
only
the Packers as much as possible.
But he's not only screwing the Packers, he's screwing Jordan Love. Because Jordan Love, if Rodgers comes back, and even if he's not the starter this year, which would not happen, by the way, but even if he came back and was not the starter, that contract is so crippling in the future years that Jordan Love should want out, because the Packers would have to rebuild. So even if Love gets to play next year with Rodgers on the team, because Bob McGinn's story is right, which it isn't, but we'll say it is, Jordan Love still should want to trade. The only way Jordan Love does not demand a trade is if Rodgers is gone this offseason and Jordan Love runs the team. Because even if Rodgers comes back and he runs the team and he runs the offseason like he always does, Jordan Love, and everything works out and he gets to play all season and he does really great with this team, and then the next year's team, Aaron Rodgers retires or whatever, and then the Packers get smacked with a big freaking huge, $100 million cap smack because he retires after that stupid keep him on the team for this next year or whatever, and maybe they can redo the structure and make it in like 10 void years, which make it not so bad. Either way, Jordan Love should be gone. So, and he could easily just not sign the thing. He could be like, okay, you either franchise me, which you can't because you don't have enough money, or you pick up my 5th-year option because you won't have enough money under the cap, right? There wouldn't be enough money under the cap to franchise him, or give him his 5th-year option if they brought Aaron back. So yes. And the dumbest part is the Packers would have to trade him. They'd be dumb not to trade him, because they couldn't afford him anyways.
Wow. So you do think, though, that's this is all part of Rodgers' calculated plan?
Rodgers doesn't care about
the Packers as much as possible. Not even just that he wants so much money.
I don't know about that. I think he just wants the money. I don't think
he's very spiteful, dude.
No, he is. I don't think he's trying to screw him like that.
Let's hope not, because he could. He's in the position that he totally could, unless he's not in unless they take care of it now. So we're not going to get as much as we would have got last year when they actually should have done it. Now that they finally believe in Jordan Love, they got to take care of it. Kevin Green, if he were still Kevin Green, RIP. Now is the time.
Nobody's standing up and leading the troops.
Come on, Goody. Goody needs
to stand up and be the guy that drafted Jeff in the first place.
Got to do it.
And, JJ McQuaid, running it back is stupid. But the thing is, it's not about running it back. They could still, the nucleus of this team, the best players on this team are all young players.
Guys. Yeah.
It isn't the Preston Smith and the
Aaron
Rodgers and Dave Bakhtiari is still good, but who knows if he's going to play half the time. Alan Lazard, all those guys can go. Big Dog, they're useless. They're all useless. The guys who are performing for this team are just the Elton Jenkins and the Runyon Bunyan, Jack Tom, Yash, Aaron Jones. He's old compared to a lot of those guys. AJ Dillon, Josiah DeGuara. On defense, our guy Wyatt, you're performing out there, buddy. TJ Sladen, come on, give me some freaking Kingsley Enagbare and some freaking Rashawn Gary.
Yeah, Quay Walker,
McDuffie, Chris Barnes, all better than freaking Devondre Campbell. But these contracts, so there's no way they're going to freaking cut him. And when it comes to the secondary, okay, there we got some veterans who are the better, in Jair and Douglas. And they better sign some guys back. But the bottom line is this: all these guys,
we didn't forget his college teammate.
Right. All these young guys are the nucleus of what was improving last year and made the team successful in the wins. And the team losses happened because of the veterans who didn't perform. Kenny Clark, who disappeared for half the year, did nothing. Thank God we had Jaron Reed out there who made some plays every now and again. And otherwise, the defensive line was pretty sad. And it wasn't until Dean Lowry got out and they finally put TJ Slaton at nose and he held up against the run as opposed to Kenny Clark, who couldn't. And then moved Kenny Clark to the outside where he played better. And not only that, I'll say one more thing about Kenny Clark playing at defensive end as opposed to nose tackle. The other good reason for that is this: he doesn't have to try to cover both ways because he doesn't hustle.
Right.
So he only has to worry about one side of the field. He can Reggie White it. You know what I'm saying? But if he's playing the Santana Dotson role, he doesn't have the speed sideline to sideline to do that. Even Gilbert had more freaking sideline to sideline than freaking Kenny Clark.
Ooh,
and Gilbert's got 50 pounds on him. Gilbert had 50 pounds on him, and he still had more agility. BJ Raji had way more agility and sideline to sideline presence than Kenny Clark ever had.
Raji did. And Raji was much better than Kenny Clark.
And I just got one thing to say about Andy Herman. I watched his video. I don't know if it was from today or yesterday. He was talking about the trade value of the Packers. I think he hates Josiah DeGuara or something. I don't get it. He just talks back about Josiah DeGuara again today, which pissed me off. And then when he got to Kenny Clark talking about his trade value, he was like, I love Kenny Clark. And he was like, maybe we could only get a second or a third for him because I'm like, we couldn't even get that for him. He's making like $20 million a year on the cap. He's like 16 to 20 million this year on the cap. Are you kidding me? Nobody wants that contract for a freaking slow, undersized defensive tackle who doesn't make plays and can't get to the quarterback. We pay that guy $20 million for that. Good God.
That was a big mistake. Why they had to pay him so much. But they do it. That's what the Packers do. They pay their draft picks a crap load of money as long as they're okay. Okay to good. You're paid like top 5.
And JJ McQuaid is talking about Derek Carr going to the Jets this weekend to hang out with them. That's the thing. But the fact that Derek Carr is now cut, that really hurts the Aaron Rodgers trade value.
I know.
And it's just making it worse and worse. And especially once the Jets meet Derek Carr, they're totally going to fall in love with him. They're going to fall in love with him.
They'll think he can help turn, what's his name, Zach Wilson's attitude around, right?
Well, see, that's the only this is the only thing I would say about the Derek Carr to the Jets situation.
Yeah.
If Derek Carr wants a 4 to 5 year deal, right? Let's say he wants a team to invest in him, right? I don't think the Jets will do that because I think they still want to believe in Zach Wilson because number 2 overall pick just a year ago, right? 2 years ago, whatever, 2021.
Yep.
So they don't want to totally give up on him. And by giving Derek Carr a 4 to 5 year contract that isn't like a fake one like he signed with the Raiders last year, would pretty much chop the Zach Wilson experiment out and he'd be done. And that's just a waste of a super high first round pick. And that's why I thought maybe Aaron Rodgers there would make more sense because maybe he only plays for 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
During that time, you get Zach Wilson up to snuff. And by the time Rodgers retires, then Zach Wilson's ready to take over after he learns from one of the best quarterbacks in the history of all time. As much as Aaron Rodgers is an asshole, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the history of all time. I will admit that.
Yep.
So that's the only thing I would think of. And I think Derek Carr might want to go to the Jets because they have a good team and all that. But if the Jets still believe in Zach Wilson, I don't think they will offer Derek Carr. They might offer him like a 2-year deal. But I think there'll be other teams like the Saints who really want a quarterback of the future for a long period of time and don't want to mess around, who would offer him like a 4 or 5-year deal. And I think that's something. I think Derek Carr is the kind of guy who doesn't want to be moving around a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hope we get that. Go
So
Saints.
that's the only thing I would say about that whole situation. Because I mean, Derek Carr is an awesome guy, and as soon as like him and Nathaniel Hackett would probably get along awesome. I can guarantee those two guys would get along great.
Yeah,
and Robert Saleh is more of a hard ass, so I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't give two craps if Derek Carr shows up, but I just think based on that information, I think Derek Carr is looking for a solid long term type thing with a team like the Panthers or
yeah. I mean, he probably wants
a
place where he can finish his career. A team's going to commit to him. Yeah. He gets, not be looking over his shoulder after a couple of years. Yeah, right. I get it.
If he goes to the Jets, he's if as long as Zach Wilson's there, and if he only signs a 2-year deal, he knows like he's done after 2 years. Like
yeah.
Maybe he won't be, but he's gonna have to prove himself all over again.
If he doesn't win a Super Bowl for him in those 2 years, he's probably out.
Yeah,
that's probably the reality for Derek Carr. So let's hope that's what happens, because then that still keeps a couple of viable options open for the Rodgers, and man, it'd be good.
You mean the people and the people and the people?
Yes.
Oh no, wait, the Rodgers and the Rodgers and the Rodgers. Or wait, the money and the money and the money. Oh wait. Oh yeah.
But yeah, look, it's interesting because I don't know, there's lots of people chattering and talking about how Peter King said he had heard people right at the Super Bowl saying basically that, and giving him the idea that they're thinking Rodgers is really kind of more trouble than he's worth.
Yeah, well, that's the bad part. Now everybody's figuring it out.
I know. Please don't everyone figure it out. Can't there be one dumb team that'll say yes?
Well, there's always the Raiders. Sorry, Rick.
But that's the other part with the Raiders one is knowing what, and I think I listened to Chris Sims on this one, knowing because he knows McDaniels pretty well. I don't think that's a fit. Rodgers and McDaniels.
No, God, are you kidding me?
McDaniels wants people to do what he wants them to do, not whatever the hell they want to do. So I don't think that's going to be a fit either.
Well, it'll come down to, does Mark Davis, because if he gets Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders, that's a lot of 12 jerseys they're going to sell. They probably made a bunch of money on a bunch of Devontae Adams jerseys this season.
Right. It's about money. Some owner will be like, if we can sell this crap, so we'll take it.
Right. So, and that's part of it. And Mark Davis needs the money. That's part of the whole deal. Why they didn't want to sign, they cut Derek Carr, is they don't want to give him the money. But because, everybody's got their Carr Raider jerseys, but no one's got Kenny Stabler, is that number retired? Rick, do you know if Kenny Stabler's 12 is retired? Wasn't he number 12 when he was a Raider?
The Snake. I think so. Yeah.
So maybe his number 12 is retired. I don't know. But what I would say is, I don't care as long as he's gone. I don't see it happening right now. I really want to see it. But who knows, man? Until I see it, it's just like we're just having the same conversation every week, Jason, and I'm sick of it. Aren't you guys sick of the same conversation? You're muted. We talked about Brian Flores earlier, JJ.
We did, JJ.
We're scared.
And it's a good move. It's a good move for the Vikings. They need to finish that defense.
Look, we're very scared.
Lions are coming along, getting better. The Vikings, like we said before, the Vikings have upgraded with defense. One by probably getting rid of Z and also getting Brian Flores. And then the Packers can't just do the same old. They got to move on. They got to move forward with the good, promising players they have, which are a bunch of the young guys, which also shows you Goody's drafts are looking pretty good. So you don't want him to lose the GM gig because his draft picks are kind of panning out right now. Just tell him don't.
Right now.
You just basically he should just turn into Ted Thompson the way he's going, because like his free agent guys, the big timer ones haven't been that great, but the draft picks have been pretty good. And then he's finding whoever it is. It can't be him, and it couldn't have been Thompson. Whoever the hell in the Packers organization finds the scrap heap guys, like that dude needs, I don't know, keep him where he is. Keep him looking for the scrap heap guys, but pay that person a lot of money because the Packers have an incredible track record of that. It's crazy, right?
Well,
these cheap guys they find and then they
I would say
and make an impact.
I mean, I think the Keyshawn Nixon had a lot to do with Rich Bisaccia. So I don't know if anybody, I don't think that was Goody. But Rudy Ford and Rasul Douglas, those two guys, and maybe Campbell for a little, like he sucked last year, but year before was really good. I don't know, and Jaron Reed. I thought Jaron Reed played great last year most of the time.
Yeah.
He had a better year than Kenny Clark. I don't care what anybody says. So whoever that guy is that's finding those guys, keep him. I don't know if he needs to be a GM, but at least he can keep doing what he's doing because he's doing a great job.
Yeah. I would keep him in that role. Like, don't even have him do anything else. Just look for all the scrap heaper guys and keep getting them because those guys.
Maybe the Bears will cut Lukey Patrick because he got hurt last year, and then the Packers can sign him back again, and then your jersey will be back in the mix.
They could use
a
solid guy to back people up. I'll tell you that.
I thought for sure the Packers are going to be dumb and get rid of Aaron Jones, and that's why I didn't buy the Aaron Jones jersey last summer, and I bought the Rasul Douglas jersey, and now he's back for 2 more years, and I'm like, gosh dang it, I could have bought the Aaron Jones 33 all along.
You always got to believe in number 33. Doug
he
Evans
got it 33, and then he left.
Doug Evans,
Micah Hyde. What happened to him? Oh yeah, they didn't sign him back because they're stupid.
William Henderson.
Okay, he sucked. He was a 30. William Henderson will always be a 30. Always. He only got to be 33 because Doug left, and then somehow they let him change his uniform, and I don't know why. He never deserved to wear 33. William Henderson. Okay, I take it back. William Henderson is the most overrated pile of dog shit player of Green Bay Packers to ever wear the green and gold. Even Zadarius Smith is better than William Henderson. I was wrong about Zadarius. William Henderson is actually worse. William Henderson is the most. I've never heard anybody talk about how great of a blocker he was, and yet blocked no one. I mean, even Mercedes Lewis will at least block the big, slow, lazy guy.
That shit is
William Henderson couldn't block anybody.
That is truth, bro. That he did block hardly anyway.
Look at Dorsey Levin's numbers the year when he played out of single back sets. And then look at his numbers when he had to start behind William Henderson blocking for him. And look at the disparage. There's like a yard and a half difference in yards per carry between when Dorsey is running out of single back sets and when he's running out of I formation. And you know why? Because his fullback couldn't block shit. Yet people kept thinking he was good, and they kept signing him for longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. And
all he did
John Kuhn's way better fullback than William Henderson any day of the week.
100%.
That one time where John Kuhn went from this side and went all the way across and picked off Julius Peppers so that Rodgers could throw that deep pass to freaking Randall Cobb for the score against the Bears, win the game. Awesome play. That's the kind of stuff I love to watch. Those type of things. This whole season, Ty DeGuara had so many awesome plays where he snuck around and picked off a guy and did some cool stuff like that. Aaron Jones had a couple like that in this year too.
Whoa.
I'm really choppy today, hey?
Zero's wondering, is John Kuhn the best fullback in Packer history? Wow.
Well,
I don't know. We don't know all the fullbacks back in the day. Wasn't Brockington a fullback?
Yeah, those guys were fullbacks back then.
And wasn't who was the other guy with Horning in the 60s? Who was the fullback in that one? Why can't I think it was Jim Taylor? Yeah, duh.
The greatest running back in Packer history.
I'm not that freaking old.
What is your problem? I think he was the fullback. And I think Horning was the
Jamal Williams breaks Barry Sanders' record. Like, I'm recency bias. I'm all screwed up. I can't remember the good guys from the old days.
And who could forget the Wood brothers, Keith Woodside, and Brent Fullwood.
They were not.
There was a lot of wood in that backfield.
They were not good, but they were wood. Yep. All right. Zero gives us something that can be fun to think about. Make an all Packers team, every position filled by a legendary player, in your opinion. Oh, well, we'll give some thought to that.
That's a good off-season thing. Well, maybe we'll do that next week or something.
That's a good suggestion. You guys are awesome. Like, anybody that hangs on here, gives us all your feedback and hangs with us for so long. Give us some of that stuff because it's the off season. We want to keep it fresh. We want to keep up some stuff. And Ben says all of our shows are the same because we're just on Rodgers Watch. But I'm not on Rodgers Watch. We're not sitting here on every word and watch all this bull crap that he says all the time and disrespect all the media guys and all his BS about no one knows shit about me because I'm me, and they don't know any, like, whatever. He's such a tool. God,
he is an idiot. Well,
anyway,
that's the other thing is this. People like, he said nobody knows anything about my inner circle.
no one.
The reason why is because he doesn't have an inner circle because he has no friends.
It's a dot.
He has
him.
no. It's him. Yeah, that's it.
Dot.
It's just him. All right, I'm ready to go. I got to go to bed. I got to work 5 in the morning.
Before we go, one more time, just for the record. Look, man.
Listen, the Vikings have
are
only been
the
around.
Packers.
Why do you
look? It's amazing. It's amazing.
Vikings.
It's not about the Vikings, but just that we were so in sync there, and that we
almost exact same tone.
I know. I started with look, man, and you started with listen, and then what we hit the Vikings at, like, almost. It's almost perfect. Wow.
I hate the Vikings, but I hate the Bears more. I always hate the Bears.
Still
more.
hate the Bears, even though they're trash.
I don't care. They're the freaking Bears. God dang it.
Well, the Bears are going to, if they don't move on from Justin Fields, they're going to screw themselves again for another however many years.
Awesome. That's great.
He's a great
Everybody
athlete.
thinks he's so great that they keep losing games. And he's
so a great athlete,
awesome.
But he's not a quarterback. I don't know how.
That's great. That's fine.
Because there's some people that right now, apparently Justin Fields is telling people who he thinks the Bears should draft, like who he wants them to draft. And then other people are saying, no, we should get rid of Justin Fields and draft this other kid right now and move on and change again. And that's what they probably should do. But hopefully they stick with Justin Fields because he is an amazing athlete. Like you said it. If he gets open space and runs, he's probably scarier than Hurts than like any of these running quarterbacks.
He is. But
they
keep losing.
He's not a good quarterback. He's a good athlete, but not a good quarterback. So keep him, Bears, because then you'll keep sucking it up.
The only thing I would say is if they wanted to, they could trade for a guy who's not a good quarterback and not a good athlete, and that's Aaron Rodgers. They could trade for him if they want. Because he's a terrible quarterback and he's no longer a good athlete. Because he can't even get a 1-yard quarterback sneak. When you watch the Eagles get quarterback sneaks every freaking drive, like 17 times in a row, and then the Packers can't even do it. They did it one time all season, and of course it worked.
They do have to change that rule. I'm really getting sick of that rule.
It works every time.
It's BS. It's BS because as a defense, you're trying to tackle one player. You can't go and tackle the other guys to stop them from doing stuff. You can only tackle the guy with the ball. So, but you're going to let everybody else push the guy with the ball should be able to gain the yards he can gain, not have other people push him.
Didn't it used to be a rule? Because I can remember watching games in like the 90s where, I can remember.
If you push the pile, it was a penalty for a very long time. And then
or at least they would give you the ball where the pushing started. Like they push you back 5 yards. Like if you got 5 more yards, they push you back 5 yards.
Yeah.
So like they call it
but it was a penalty
or whatever.
It was a penalty for a very long time. And then they made it legal to push it's rugby now. And it's just like, it's a bunch of crap. No, this is football, not rugby. Cut it out. Get rid of that rule. That rule needs to change. It's just stupid because then everybody goes for it on 4th down and then everybody gets those on 4th down as long as your quarterback's not an old rickety wuss that doesn't want people pushing on his ass. Like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but if they change the rule, then we'll have no reason to be upset when the Packers celebrate when it's, when they stop them on 3rd and 7 and they give up 6 yards and they celebrate.
It's so dumb.
Because then we get mad and then 4th and 1 and then they give up the 4th and 1. This way they wouldn't be able to give up the 4th and 1, so we wouldn't be as mad anymore.
Why is this field will never be healthy for the playoffs? Just like RG3. RG3 was electric early on and then one knee injury and you're toast. Lamar Jackson. People are talking about maybe Lamar Jackson could be somewhere, maybe going to Minnesota even. Who knows?
I don't know.
Anyway, who cares about all that? We got Aaron Jones back, baby. Aaron Jones is back.
It's cool for Packers fans, and it's cool for the Packers, and it's really cool for Aaron Jones. It sucks that they, we're like, hey, we're gonna cut you or restructure you. But at least Aaron Jones is like, you know what? I don't want to go anywhere else. I love being a Packer, and I love playing here, and that makes him one of the best. Him and Donald Driver, they're two of the best, awesomest Packers in all time, right?
Yeah.
And Leroy Butler, those three guys, they really love being a Packer. As much as they also love being a football player, but they love being a Packer. And that's the kind of guy you can always get behind as a fan. Is a guy who loves being a Packer as much as you love the Packers. That's super cool. And that's what Aaron Jones is.
He even said it. Super happy to carry the G. And there was some things I read recently about how, Greg Jennings reached out to Donald Driver after signing with the Vikings and was like, "Hey, come play with me, here and stuff." And Donald Driver was like, "No, I'm only going to play for the Packers." And he went through that horrible last year where they stopped using him even though he could still play, and then he was done.
That was sad.
But
that was sad. The other thing that's interesting about both Donald Driver and Aaron Jones, though, too, is they're late round picks. Where Greg Jennings was a second round pick.
Yeah.
So those two guys, they're rare anomalies of players who got a chance, was given that chance by the Packers team, took advantage of that chance, and appreciated it, and stayed with the team, even when Driver probably could have signed with another. He didn't have to retire. He probably could have went to some other team and play. But the Packers kind of forced him out because they had all these, Randall Cobb and, Jordy and Jones and, all these other guys. So, it sucked. That was weird. I remember I didn't like that.
I did not like the way his career ended either.
I mean, but at least
he was like inactive for the last 4 or 5 games, healthy scratch. It was like, I mean, come on. The guy could still play.
Yeah. It was kind of,
that's.
I mean, it wasn't as bad as what they did to Jordy, where they just straight up cut his ass like douchebags.
Yeah.
And that was Goody who did that. And then used his money that they saved to sign Jimmy Crapgram, and I don't care. Jimmy Crapgram, and I don't care. Jimmy Crapgram, and I don't care. Because he can't catch jack shit. Bam! I just made that up.
Nice.
Jimmy Crapgram, and I don't care.
All right, let's get out of here. You guys have a good weekend. Be good. Stay good. Don't have nerve damage because it sucks. And don't get old like us. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week. Zero will take that suggestion under advisement. We'll make it all Packers team here in the next couple of weeks sometime. Probably not next week, but one of these times coming up. And there might be a show live from our home we grew up in a couple weeks too. What do you think? Love to see. All right, we'll have to see.
I didn't take off that day.
Oh, all right. Well,
unless we do it on like a Saturday.
Well, we can do it whenever the hell we want to do it. It's our show.